Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, almost mid-September and time to take a look at what's going and growing on in the Polytunnel here. The There's still some fruits coming along from the tomato point of view, and there's even a courgette there, and you can see some lovely summer colour still persisting. So really plenty to feast our eyes on, and even those smaller tomatoes that we took as cuttings, the smaller tomato plants we took as cuttings and grew on in 2 litre pots, are actually beginning to produce some fruits there as well. So yeah, lots going on, lots growing on, lots going over, of course, as well. Some of the older summer tomato plants are beginning to come to their last legs, I suppose is the word that you'd use. You know, I've stripped off most of the foliage, a couple of side shoots there and some of the older ones, but basically exposing those those fruits to get as much sun as possible, which has been super over these recent days. Let them ripen up a bit. Apparently, I'm told we have 26 kilograms of fruit so far collected off the tomatoes, which is quite amazing considering uh, we didn't do half as much work in the spring with the plants themselves. We basically bought plants that were ready made as opposed to growing them from seed, and that was a strategic decision that we took at the start of the year to see how could we lessen some of the work, particularly in the early spring. And it's not that we don't mind growing the seed, because we do. However, they do take that extra bit of care. So that was a little bit of a shortcut. These ones that you're looking at here, these are the tomato plants that we took as cuttings. These are particularly the beefsteak tomatoes, and they're doing very well, aren't they? You know, so they'll come around. They will come around to being harvested. So it was 28 or 29 kilograms of tomatoes last year. So that's what we're looking to beat this year if we can. So the same amount of tomatoes, or even if it's slightly less. But for I'm trying to focus in then on the poppy flower there, or the poppy seed. We did do a few poppies in pots. Of course, everything we grow here is in pots. We are in a rented garden, so if you like, everything is bonus, isn't it? A nice little sunflower, one of Judith's sunflowers, coming along there ever so nicely. And again, sown quite late. It was one of the Judith, I think it's too late to sow those seeds, and she going, actually, let's wait and see, which is exactly what happened last year. And of course we got lovely flowers, albeit a little bit later than normal, but we did get some lovely flowers. That is a gazania plant that we got on discount from the garden centre. It was €6. We got it for 3. So just giving a little bit of heat. And as we go over our heads up along the frame, you can see the sunflower. I think that was a self-sowed flower. So that plant will harvest some seed off that before the birds get them. So that is like second generation grown here at the Horty HQ. So we get some seed off that. And of course, you know, I have certain feelings for the marigold, the French marigold there. The scent of the foliage is always super. That'll be finished soon. That is a plant, again, I was of the opinion, I don't know when it was, the end of July, mid-August probably, I was like, throw it out. Sure, just annoyed looking at it because it hadn't flowering. But of course, gave it some feed and some watering. After a certain someone said, no, we're not throwing that out, I like it too much. So I was like, okay, we better feed it and look after it. And of course it's rewarded us with loads going on there. And more of those tomatoes growing freestyle. You can see they're growing away. I think these ones are, what are these ones? These ones are the plum cuttings. So they're fruiting away there. Well, they're flowering away. We'll see the fruits come on them. And some of the older tomato plants I was wondering some of the foliage that's going off. I was thinking, is this blight? So we just keep removing when you see stuff like that going on, particularly because it gets quite damp now in the tunnels. Just keep removing some of that growth every few days when it turns, to try and save the fresher, younger foliage. Some nasturtium, self-seeded. You can see the leaves, complete with caterpillar larvae. I'm not sure if that is a, what you call it, hoverfly larvae, or if it's actually a moth. It might be a hoverfly larvae. And again, it's those little things, isn't it? It's the little spots of flowers. And we still have one plant of courgette. Can you see that growing? All the rest of them were summarily executed or done away with as they deteriorated, but this one was the one that was looking at its strongest. So again, fed and watered, and yeah, look at that. Look through the videos, you'll see from, it must be May, is it? The Polytunnel videos. It's just been going and growing. Gets tomato feed once every 2 weeks, I'd say, and plenty of watering. It is a little bit more shaken than stirred at this time of year, but sure, look, that's such is the way of it. These are some of the fruits that we had harvested over the past few weeks. We're typically making sauces with them. Fairly simple sauce, to be honest, and storing them in blocks for reusing. Yeah, we freeze them in like small trays and then store them in blocks. But we had actually harvested tomatoes this morning. I was like, oh, I should have actually gotten this on video beforehand. But anyway, look, it gives you just a bit of a flavour. Beetroot wise, they were ones that I bought in July, I think, as plants. Just stuck some in pots. And the beets themselves, there's some small ones and some medium sort of size ones. So it'll give just a taste of beetroot. I intended to do some more out on the potager. It's out on the potager, but didn't get around to it. Just the year flies by. The year just flies by. There are some of the potatoes grown in 2-litre pots. You know, my 2-litre pot potato experiment. So this is part of them, and you can see I have some grass over the top, because if the potatoes themselves, and actually, I don't know if you can see those, there is some slugs' eggs, actually, snails' eggs. But if the potatoes, particularly when they're in smaller pots, like if they actually do come through to the surface like so, and you don't have them covered, they'll actually start to photosynthesize and they will go green. So that's not much good. So just mulch over the tops of the pots. I think it was Nikki Kyle, a gardener over here in Dublin, who writes a regular blog. I think she was the one that first said that to me, and I've seen many people do it since. So it's a great tip to do. So yeah, Polytunnel. Of course, if you have any canes that are eye level or lower, make sure you have something on the top of them just to protect yourself. I know of too many people now who've injured themselves. So Polytunnel progress in September. So still nice to see, especially the fresher tomatoes coming along. They really enjoyed that extra bit of heat that we've had recently after such a wet summer. Of course, the sunshine makes everything better, doesn't it? And those what you call it, those tomato cuttings have really shone through. A bit of cleaning there between the tunnel and the grow houses, the glass house and the greenhouse, as we call them. And we did a bit of cleaning there a wee while ago. It was just some stuff needed to be sorted. And just before we throw out some of these plants, well, certainly we're going to collect the peppers off them. I think some of the plants are going over themselves. You can see an abundance of peppers here in the glass house. They're fantastic. And again, these are plants, I thought I had it recorded somewhere, so when I actually did sow them, but I don't see it in my own notes, so I'll have to do a little bit of a deep dive. But the peppers themselves, they were sown later. Normally I'd been sowing them in January, and bringing them on, but I think I did them March or early April, just to see how successful the plants would be. Again, two litre pots growing on, and aren't they just super? A nice pepper harvest, and again, just less work. Getting better with this growing lark. They do say the first 20 years is the hardest. I'm in a year about 35 now, I'd say. So definitely gotten easier, there's no doubt about it. And of course the Hugh sign, when I used to do my vids in the house here, that was the backdrop I used to use. You'll have to check my vids back from 2 or 3 years ago when we were starting off here, and a mixture of some nice geraniums and pelargoniums. And that one, those ones there, those cuttings came from over in Catalonia, and they've actually thrived despite the rain. And the last grow house here is the agapanthus. They were fantastic, gone over in flower, thinned out the flower seeds. And then this is the greenhouse. Yeah, the door doesn't want to seem to open anymore. But anyway, that's okay. This is just a moment in time capturing it. You can see I'm very firmly fixed on the grapes. Got any grapes? Far too many grapes in the bunch, as impressive as it looks. Far too many grapes in those bunches, and with the purple one behind it, far too many bunches of grapes there. I thought I was thinning these bad boys down, and as you can see, they're not overly thinned, but that's okay. That's okay. There, we learn as we go. This is year number 2 for oh yeah, year number 2. And can you hear that wasp buzzing around in the background there? Because the grapes are very nicely ripened. Of course, those guys love, well, it's not a wasp, it's a bee, but of course they love that. This particular hot mess here is the potatoes grown in 2 litre pots. I did put a layer of compost over the top of them to protect the because there was some potatoes actually showing through. So we will do a harvest to see, well, what sort of, we will do a vid to see what sort of harvest we're getting in some of these pots. But there is potatoes there. So fairly simple. Small seed potatoes that were left over from some of the other stuff that we were doing. Stuck in the 2 litre pots and just growing under cover. You can see that plenty of cutting back needs to happen to tidy up. And it'd be nice to store them in the pots until they're needed. But I do worry about rodents getting into them and eating them in the pots themselves. So we'll have to figure that one out. Anyway, I think we'll finish on this particular shot of the grapes. As always, thanks for watching. Do remember to like and subscribe, and of course always enjoy the chats that we actually have in the comments and watching other people's videos as well. Take care of yourselves. All the best for now. Talk soon. Take care. Bye bye.